welcome to another Biddle on Saturday, December 21st. How's everybody doing?
Hey.
Hello.
We're doing really good.
Doing all right.
And are you open for business?
We are officially open for business, Zeb.
Nice.
Yay.
All right, so we are short a few people because of vacations and because of Christmas and all kinds of stuff. But we're going to carry on anyway. So, first things first, I do want to wish Derek Graham, he's in chat right now, happy birthday.
Yes, 100%. Happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday, Derek.
All right, somebody has an echo. Somebody has the stream on.
Yes, 100%. Happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday, Derek.
All right, somebody has an echo.
Who's watching the stream back?
That would be Penguin. Okay, so onward. We are trying out Ubuntu Studio 1910 this week. And I will be perfectly honest that I did not have a whole lot of time this week to spend with it. And I'm sorry. It was a really busy week. But I did get to install it. But we'll get to everybody else first. Zeb, what did you think of Ubuntu Studio 1910?
Well, my first impression is, wow, this looks good. Maybe this is what Ubuntu should look like out of the box. And I'm sorry, Sean, I know you love your Greybird, but this just looks really good. And I know it sounds crazy because it's based on the same thing, but it appears snappier. I love the installer, and I love the way the fact that if you are an artist, you just install one type of pack. If you're a musician, you just install another type of pack. So I installed absolutely everything because I'm not any of those. And they've got some great selections of programs, I think, for most types of artistic people. It's Ubuntu. It's great. I can't find any fault with it. It's XFCE, which I love. So, yeah, well done, Eric and the team over there at Ubuntu Studio. Double thumbs up from me.
Yep.
Oh, even including the plaster.
Well, you mentioned the installers, Zeb, and that was fantastic. I looked at that, and, it looks just like the regular Ubuntu installer, and I'm just hitting next, and that screen comes up, and you have all the little drop-down menus, almost like it almost looks like MX's software application suite where you can install, you just have check marks or drop-down menus where you can uncheck or check. Now, everything is checked by default. But you can basically uncheck whatever you don't want to be installed. And I thought that was fantastic because not everybody's going to need all of that stuff. They may only want the audio portion, like you said, or the video portion. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And what I found out as well, and this was back when we did an interview with Eric, is that is now available for any of the Ubuntu flavors. You can download the Ubuntu Studio pack like it's like an installer and just pick and choose the applications you want, which again, if you're not quite sure what you need for audio or office or videoing, grabbing that little sort of condensed pack is a great idea to stick on top of your Kubuntu or Ubuntu or plain old Ubuntu.
Well, that was also my fault because I hate to use that excuse of being busy because that's no excuse, but in my busyness and not paying attention, I didn't reach out to Eric to offer him to come on tonight, and I should have, and I could kick myself for it, but I didn't, so what are you going to do?
Hey-ho. These things happen.
All right, Eris, did you get to try Ubuntu Studio?
Yes, I did. I installed it. I didn't use it very much. I love the goal of Ubuntu Studio that it helps bridge the gap in one of the weak points in Linux, the creative applications. So a lot of applications, but people don't know which ones they are, and this is like a showcase for everything. And I wish I could talk more about Studio, but I lack the knowledge about how to use it, like jack audio and all the different applications, which I don't know how to use. The one thing I will mention is I like how they have their own wallpaper for every release. They use the Ubuntu one, but they make it their own. I wish it would be a little bit flatter because it has a texture to it. In my opinion, that clashes with the flat icons that they use. If If it was flat, not so much textured, I think it would be better. But other than that, I love the goal of Ubuntu Studio.
Yeah. On that note, I love the work they did with the Disco Dingo wallpaper. That was my favorite of that release.
Yep. Well, you know, me and Zeb were talking in the beginning before the show, and I said to him, I hate to be like superficial and say, you know, the theme is great and the wallpaper is great. But like he said, that is your first impression of the distro. So it's like when you see something like that, and you see a nice theme and you see a nice wallpaper, man, that goes a long way in, you know, maybe maybe Ubuntu Studio is for you or it isn't for you, but that goes a long way in your assumptions for the distro, because you know, if you get there and it's, you know, ugly as all get out, then you probably are going to have less of a good experience just because of your mindset.
All right, so let's now get on to Mystic Meg, who had it installed before we knew it was going to be used next week. So, Tony, how did you get on with Ubuntu Studio?
Yeah, very well, actually. I like it. It does look good, and I like XFCE. It didn't suffer with the problem that I had with the original Ubuntu XFCE. The wireless connection was fine. Everything worked on it. There's a lot of stuff installed that I wouldn't use, and I wouldn't even know how to use. I noticed at the beginning it gives you the option to not install some of the stuff. I tried playing around with that, but whatever I seemed to take off, whenever it loaded up, it looked totally different. It didn't seem to look like it should do. And I thought, well, maybe I took too many things off. So I reinstalled it again with everything selected, and it looks like it's supposed to look then, and it works really well. So yeah, it's a 2 thumbs up for me.
Oh, I'm going to have a play with that, because that all that should do is install an application or not. It shouldn't mess with any of the themes or the look and feel. So I'll have to play with that in a VM. Thanks for that.
For me.
Yeah. Penguin, Alan, how you diddly doing?
I'm doing just fine, Zeb. How you doing?
Good. I'm not so bad at all, thank you. And how did you get on with Ubuntu Studio?
I got along just fine. Literally it worked just like it's supposed to. I only used it for a period of about 5 hours this week, but to me, Ubuntu flavors are just Ubuntu with a different theme and a different suite of applications. I did like the suite of applications. However, I would highly suggest, if you're going to install this, go through the applications and untick the ones you're not going to use, or else you have this big bloated install. But other than that, I didn't find anything wrong with it. I did like the theme better than XFCE Ubuntu. Yeah, I thought it looked a little bit better. Other than that, I didn't see anything wrong with it. It worked just fine.
And I think that's going to be true of a lot of people with the applications. But I think, as Tyler said, as Aris said, it showcases the type of applications are available. So if you don't really know what you might or might not like, install everything, go through them one by one. Those applications that you don't get on with, uninstall them. Now that's going to be a bit of a pain for some people, because, as you said, that's an awful lot of applications, and they might not have enough hard disk space, and they might not have the bandwidth to bring it down. But yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be in the same boat. Oh, what's this? I've never seen that before.
They could make it a little bit easier by creating multiple pages in the installer and have a little bit and sort it out a little bit better. But other than that, the install process was easier too, and that way they could describe the applications on the installer a little bit. So that would be my suggestion to the dev hire, and send them an email about that. So
excellent.
Well, I do want to say that the one thing that I do have a problem with Ubuntu Studio, and it's not specific to Ubuntu Studio, it's just XFCE, is the high DPI. It's partially there, and it does bring up a lot of the things on my screen, with the exception of the bar at the top with the close and minimize. That stays super tiny for me no matter what, if you hit doubled pixels, everything goes up except that. So, Zeb, you got a fix for that?
Yeah, there is a fix already. If you go into Window Manager,
yep,
and you choose a HIDPI, or you've got double HIDPI on the themes on the left-hand side. There's default HDPI or default XHDPI.
Right, but that's the only theme that you can use.
Correct, because theme makers haven't made any,
and that takes away from the beauty of Ubuntu Studio.
Of course, because the minute you do that, you lose. Yeah, the minute you do that, you lose the little check boxes that they want to put in there.
Yep.
But that's the way to do it, and it's one of the bugbears of XFCE. But I'm guessing until the developers get a HIDPI monitor and a true HIDPI monitor, not like my 43-inch 4K, which is just normal DPI, you've got to get a 13-inch with 4K on it. And see the problems, and that's the only way that I think they're going to be able to resolve them.
Yep. Or somebody like me who tries to help them out. That could happen too. Oops. Paul, moving on.
It just takes time, so.
For sure, yeah.
Paul, did you try
I don't have any high DPI. I only got 1080 on my stuff, so I didn't have any of those problems. But yeah, I did like Zeb, and I installed everything. Just do it all, and it actually works really good on this computer. I was surprised. This is I usually run Arch on this laptop, but now I'm running Ubuntu, and I think it's that low latency kernel, Zeb.
Yeah, where's Thomas when you need him, eh?
Why are you bringing that up?
That's the one thing I forgot. Well done, Paul.
Somebody had to bring it up.
Somebody had
latency
to.
kernel. So yeah, I had a good experience with it. I might even leave it on there for a while.
Oh, that is excellent. All right, Chris, sir.
And good evening. And yes, well, I really like the way it installed. It was pretty easy. I wanted to try to edit a short little video and get it posted on YouTube, but I ran out of time on trying to get things working with work and everything else. But the things that I seem to run across specifically on this version was I've had to fight with the network a couple times getting this thing to either connect to the wireless or to connect to the wired. It was actually easier to connect to wireless where I had a wireless connection only, but trying to get it to work on the wired network, it seems as though I had to perform some voodoo magic and sacrifice a couple chickens to get it to actually negotiate to the point where it would actually talk on the wired network. That's kind of what I was doing just now, and I finally got it up and running.
Chris, is that a normal thing for distros that you run into?
Normally it works just, don't have to fuss with it or anything like that. I had to go in there and tell it to not to use a metered network. It was set for automatic. And when I set it to no, suddenly it started working tonight. Previous times when I had it at my house and had it plugged in at my house, no problem whatsoever. Last week when I tried to, when I first installed it, I was having problems with it getting on the wired network. I don't know. It could be the Cisco switch I have it plugged into. I don't have the port configured for anything other than auto negotiate, and that may be what was causing the problem. I don't know. But the other problem that I have with it is the screensaver likes to kick in when I'm watching videos. So if I don't hit a key within 5 minutes or so, screen goes into lock mode and gets a little annoying. So I just turned the screensaver and screen lock off. But I mean, it's something Xorg isn't talking to the server or what have you. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but I've seen it on some other distros as well. And that was my solution, was basically just turn off the screensaver. So other than that, everything else seems to work great. I mean, even with the old and decrepit hardware that I'm using, I've got Kden Live to work almost perfectly without crashing or anything like that. Granted, I was only doing like a 3-minute video, so I wasn't, had a huge project in there. But I mean, I was impressed with the fact that I could get into Blender, do a couple things in Blender, get a couple things going in GIMP, and got Kden Live working without a problem. I was really impressed with that. So
nice, cool. Thanks very much indeed, Tyler. Santa, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Good. And so, how was Ubuntu Studio for you?
I didn't really have any time to give it a go this last week. Nor did I have to sacrifice any chickens.
Right?
I mean, look at that awesome shirt he's wearing.
Look at that. Jupiter Broadcasting.
But I did try some Marmite just now, and
why would you do that?
Because I could find some, and I figured, why not?
And he's a masochist.
Yes,
exactly. Did you eat it raw, or did you spread it thinly on a piece of toast, like I suggested?
I spread it on toast. And
he said thinly. I think he used that word.
Yeah,
it's very goopy, so it's very hard to spread thinly.
Yeah.
But it tastes like someone took like beef bouillon and just spread it across a piece of toast.
It's certainly an acquired taste.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'd suggest butter with it as well. It's really nice.
Yeah, but they also do a more beefier version, if there can be such a thing, and it's called Bovril. And they do that in a big jar. So
interesting,
good stuff. Yeah,
it sounds
all right then. Barbara, did you get to try Ubuntu Studio?
No, I didn't. Today was this was just one of those crazy weeks, so I didn't get a chance to do much of anything like that. But I think I have a lot of those applications, except maybe Blender, already installed.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't have been that much different other than the XFCE desktop.
Cool.
All right, chicken. Save the chickens.
So it was kind of weird. Where did Pantheon go? What's up with that? So I found it really interesting because it made Jack a lot easier to fiddle with. But I know we have problems with PulseAudio, but Jack is still really hard for me to use and understand. And Pulse just makes it so easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's me because I'm just like not good with it. But oh man, I tried configuring my audio devices through Jack and I was not having a fun time. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna switch back to Pulse. This is fine. But it was really cool because it made it super, super quick and simple to find a lot of productivity applications that I think I otherwise wouldn't have thought of. Because I use like a video editor, I use Blender, and I use like OBS all the time, and Audacity. But there are so many more applications that do tons of things like in the similar space that I just would have never known about. So it's really cool to see. And they did a nice job, I think, with the look of it. I was expecting it to be a little less like pretty, just because it seems so utilitarian, but it's very nicely done. So yeah, kudos to them for making such a nice exploration system, I suppose.
Quick heads up: if you want to learn Jack, speak to Scrapjaw. He's pretty much a guru on it, and he helped Das Geek sort out his audio woes via Jack. But yeah, you see some of the diagrams that people have up with jack, and there's like this thing connects to this thing over here, and double backs over to this thing here, goes through a separate loop, comes back into here, and then what? PulseAudio next.
Yeah, Jack is really, really up there, man. I mean, there's guys that know it. Like Ben Stone is a master at audio, and Drew from Jupiter Broadcasting is another guy that's just an amazing audio geek. But man, that is way too much for me. Way too much.
Yeah, but once you get to know Jack, it actually is an amazing audio back end.
I'm sure.
I mean,
it
I
is.
don't know it completely, but I can often on a lot of my videos, I often use the jack because it's works better with my microphone than Pulse ever did. So,
well, you're probably right because that goes to prove it by all of these audiophile geeks using it. So it's obviously powerful and a great program to use, but man, I don't have time to learn that.
For me, it's a bit like Jack is to Pulse what FFmpeg is to OBS Studio. Yeah, if you know FFmpeg, you can do amazing things with it. You don't need OBS Studio. OBS Studio provides all those fancy stuff, but you can actually live stream and set all sorts of parameters with FFmpeg. But again, for me, it's like, okay, what does that mean? And when they say do this, why are they speaking in that language? So yeah, OBS, things like OBS Studio and Pulse make all that back end stuff so much easier to use.
Yeah, all you need is FFmpeg and VLC to live stream.
All right, Dave, how are you, sir?
Excellent. How are you?
Awesome.
I've used Ubuntu Studio off and on for years, and I've always liked it. So I was really looking forward to this week. Got it installed, got it set up with my setup scripts. Everything went flawlessly, and then work went crazy, and I didn't get time to play with it. I did notice that the little icons that I usually have a problem with up in the panel, when I resized the panel, I could go into the individual icons and resize them. So that was very nice touch. Let's see, like Paul, the single click flies on a low latency kernel. I just have to say. So I really enjoyed that. I switched everything over to single click. Unlike Chris, one of the first things I do when I set up a new system is turn off the power settings and the screensavers, and because that always drives me crazy because I'm always getting up to get a drink and I don't want to come back to have to enter my password again. So I didn't have that problem, but I also like the way they the way they themed it, even though I instantly went in and changed 90% of it. But it's Ubuntu, and like Zeb said, I actually am running Kubuntu on my main system here, and I put the Ubuntu Studio installer on my main rig and added it to Kubuntu. So all the stuff that I have, running over on my test machine, I also have set up on my main machine. And if I can actually get the time, the decade or two that it's going to take this old brain to do it, I would really like to learn Jack. I get started, and after about 5 minutes, I look at the clock and it's been 3 hours and I don't have time. So it's something I'm just going to have to keep working at until I get it. But I like it. I have always liked it, and I will always like it. And even if I don't keep it on the machine for any huge length of time, I always end up going back to it again and again because it's good, it's fun, it has everything I need, and I like it.
Excellent.
Can I ask a real quick question? Jack, is that for plugging in directly into the computer, or is that useful for someone who uses a mixing board as well?
Yes, it controls all the software connections for all your hardware pieces.
Okay, Sleepy, welcome. And did you try Ubuntu Studio?
Yeah, so this was the very first time for me trying out Ubuntu Studio. And so I went into it and first installed it, installed very well. And then I started thinking to myself, is this just Ubuntu with a whole stack of programs installed on it? And I mean, of course it's not. And so what I decided to do was go down a bit of a rabbit hole and try and find out what low latency kernels were and what Jack was. And of course, that was no good because it just went all over my head. I could not understand a thing about what anything that they tried to explain it in forums and whatnot was. I actually installed it on a USB to M.2 adapter that I have. So I ended up trying it on a fair bit of hardware. So I tried it on a couple of laptops. I tried it on my desktop and also an Intel NUC system as well. But of course, I guess to make the most of it, you've got to have graphics hardware and whatnot to render out videos. What happened was I ended up being a bit inspired after using it for a little while to create a little Christmas montage video of my kids. And my nieces and nephews, which I'm going to show to my parents with all their grandkids, which ended up turning really well, if I must say so myself. And I wish I could show you guys, but it's my kids, so But I ended up using the programs that I was already familiar with, so Kden Live, Audacity, and GIMP. But what I think is really appreciable for me with this distro is that just the time that the developers are taking to collate all these programs together, because I installed all of them, and there are just so many things, all right? And I tried to play with a few of them. Some of them I didn't understand. I ended up playing around with another little program called Hydrogen, which is a drum beat program. And I made a little sort of really cool drum beat for myself as well. I might share that one with you guys in time. So I ended up thinking to myself who this distro might be for, and I'm trying to do this with each distro that I try, like who might want to use this distro. And I'm guessing that it might be aimed at people who are so professional sort of content makers who are looking for some other alternative to what they're already using, so either a Mac or a Windows system, because the developers have done all this hard work in putting all these programs together that it just makes it so much easier for someone to jump over and try something different. And I think it's fantastic. I'm going to try it out a bit more and try and find out more about what this low latency kernel means. And if anybody can explain it to me, please do so.
Too bad Thomas isn't here, huh?
Yeah.
I was going to say that might be a bit of a lengthy explanation, but low latency kernels just happens to increase your performance a little bit. That's about as simple as I can put it. But as far as Jack audio, I could spend hours explaining it to you, so I'm not even going to get into that. But what I liked about this is you could build your own studio type PC with whatever you want. It's all like that. So
I feel it could be something I feel it could be something like a blog post coming up. I'm just putting it out there for somebody to write.
Yep.
Yeah,
well,
I thought about it, but I value my fingers still working at the end of a blog post, and they would be gone. So.
But Vince, you make the comment that there's a lot of hard work in this. There's a lot of hard work in every distro, but I can't imagine the work that is involved in this, setting up everything for you audio wise, like Jack and Carla and all of this stuff. Like that is way too much work to do for one distro. I'm just saying.
Especially because it kind of has to be able to expect and adapt to so many different hardware configurations, which is just already a basket case.
Yep.
And I would assume that they've gotten the point to that all these programs actually work. I mean,
yes.
Just imagine the work that goes through into that.
Well, that was the other thing that I was going to mention. They've not only just given an application that sat there and they've just installed it, but they've made sure that it's tightly integrated with the rest of the system, and you've got no major bugs when you try and open a particular program. So if anything is going to be awkward to install and get up and running and configured, Ubuntu Studio's taken all that hard work out for you, is what I found. Now, a quick one, because I know Thomas is not here, so that's great. Low latency kernel. I can run a low latency kernel. I can run a normal kernel. I can't tell the difference. So what's the point? I really can't. Now, no doubt because somebody said in the chat here that if low latency kernels increase performance, why aren't all kernels low latency? There must be a reason to use one or the other. And we need someone like Thomas to explain it. But on my system, I
basically,
can't tell the difference. I
because
really can't tell.
if you implemented it everywhere, the problem would be that
I
when you're
can tell the
multitasking-
difference.
Hang on,
from a-
Alan. Hang on, Alan. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, Clayton, say again.
Oh, sorry, I don't know if my mic's working.
No, it was working fine. Yeah.
If you're kind of on a system where you're doing a whole bunch of things that all kind of require like performance time essentially, and you're running a low latency kernel, they all suffer a little bit. Yeah, because they're all kind of demanding that attention from the kernel, whereas a generic kernel kind of works with distributing everything more evenly.
Mm-hmm. Dave,
That's
I think
what
you're
I
getting
was
some
about
sort of
to
weird
say, so-
feedback on your mic.
Is that me?
Yeah. No, Dave. Yeah, it's gone now.
Huh.
Now you've muted. It's gone again.
So one cool thing about Ubuntu Studio that was pointed out when I was at Linux Fest Northwest is if you take two of the stickers and put them next to each other with the logo, you got a reel-to-reel. That was something Eric pointed out to me at Linux Fest Northwest.
Well, I'll give you a cool thing about Ubuntu Studio, and that is if you go into the Whisker menu, the bottom entry on the right is the Ubuntu Studio information. And this has links to everywhere from, about XFCE, Ask Ubuntu, contribute to Ubuntu Studio, Ubuntu Studio Help, their IRC channel, their website, their mailing list. Like, this is something I think all distros should have, is that type of documentation built right into the system. So if you install it, you can get to all of the documentation in one spot. That is a great touch.
Yeah, because one of the questions we always ask developers is, and how can we help you? Well, there you go. Contribute to Ubuntu Studio, and it will tell you in that documentation. Yeah, nice touch. I hadn't spotted that, in fact.
Yep.
And Zeb, to what you were talking about earlier with not noticing it on your system, I think it's like Gentoo and compiling everything from scratch with set flags on systems 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, it made a big difference. But the systems and chips have gotten so fast that the differences really aren't noticeable to our perception anymore. So I mean,
with that.
If you get into high-end audio production, yeah, you'll probably still need it. But in general everyday use, and general production of videos and whatnot, you're really not going to notice a difference.
I mean, unless you're working with like terabytes of Minecraft videos, right, Chicken?
You might be right, actually. Yeah.
Well, I normally notice the difference between a laptop and a desktop with low latency kernels a lot. But other than that, it's really not that big of a difference either way.
Dan Simmons in the house.
And no audio for unusual for you.
Helps if we turn
there
up
you go.
the knob there.
There you go.
Yeah, now I'm here.
How are you doing? What's happening?
Not much. Just running a little late tonight.
Okay. It's all good. Did you check out Ubuntu Studio this week or no?
I did not. I didn't get a chance.
Okay.
That seems to be. Hey, do you think it's Christmas on Wednesday?
It might be
Do you think that's
Christmas week.
why?
There's some stuff going on.
Do you think people have been busy with real world stuff?
Yeah,
for
I
a
think
change?
so.
I will say one thing that's really cool is they developed. I don't think it was a couple of releases ago now. They developed the installer, so you can install that basically Ubuntu Studio on any of the flavors, and it'll install right on top. So you can keep your favorite DE, and you can actually pick which parts of the studio that you want to install too. So you don't have to install the whole thing either. So it's kind of a nice touch.
Yep. All right. Anybody got anything else they want to add to Ubuntu Studio?
Other than I think, and again, sorry, Sean, but if I want an XFCE install now, I'm just going to do Ubuntu Studio and then not pick absolutely everything there. Just pick out the little bits and pieces that I want because it just looks good. And I said right at the beginning, and this is like sort of gone against what I said. I said it felt a bit snappier. Maybe that is the low latency kernel at work. Who knows?
I don't know, but it does look good. And I just want to take a moment to thank Eric and all of the developers with Ubuntu Studio. So where is my list of people, for crying out loud? I don't have it. I will get it, and we will make sure we get everybody's name mentioned. But that's our take on Ubuntu Studio 1910, and there you go. But this week we have to pick a new distro, but we're probably gonna forgo that and not pick a distro this week, and we're gonna have a free week for Christmas week and not have to worry about trying out any distro or doing anything like that, because yeah, there's a lot to do.
Are you telling me
Yeah,
that
I'm
we're
gonna be
not
busy
working
this week.
overtime?
We're not working overtime this week, dude. It's Christmas.
Yeah.
What about predictions?
That will happen next week. We are going to have a show next Saturday, December 28th, which will be the last show of the year. And if I can muster up the time, I will try to get some of the predictions from the previous year. And I want everybody here to bring their predictions.
So instead of a distro challenge, that's our homework.
Yeah.
That's your
There you
homework.
go.
Just to bring predictions. And
Yeah.
that's not really hard. You could probably come up with some, like, on the spot if you
probably.
had to.
Tony will install distros before we even finish the previous week.
Year of the Linux desktop.
What are you going to do this week,
God.
Tony, when there's no distro to install?
He'll
I'll just
find
get a
one.
week off.
He'll be installing
Yeah.
next week's distro.
Yeah.
He'll
Absolutely.
find one and install it. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, Rocco, are we going to be going back to the 2-week distro again now the Ubuntus have gone?
Yep, the Ubuntus are done, and we're going to go back to 2 weeks. 2 weeks for the challenge for whatever distro we pick. And when we pick one next week, that will give us 2 weeks, because it's still going to be a holiday week, but it'll give us 2 weeks to try out the distro, and that should be fine. So if you
Excellent.
want to get your picks in for what we do as a challenge, you can submit a form on the BigDaddyLinux.com website or you could go to the Discourse forums and add your pick to the forum thread. But I did get an email this week from the guys that are doing, forgive me, Tronjaro or Tromjaro. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And Tromjaro? Yeah. And they wanted us to try out that distribution, so we'll have to add that onto the list to see if we are actually going to do that.
And what is Tromjaro?
Tromjaro. Well, if I can find the email real quick.
Tromjaro. Okay.
Of course, I can't find the email when I want.
I think it has to do with like free trade or something like that. They're supposed to. The website was a little confusing.
Yeah.
Don't know. Ran into Rose on another stream, and she keeps bringing up Hannah Montana Linux.
Okay,
no,
well, I'm just about
that's
to
never
put-
going to happen. Okay, no.
I'm just going to put a link
Okay,
into the YouTube chat about Tromjaro.
Yeah,
I
can't
cannot
find
find
it.
the email
I've got
right
it
now.
right here on the
I
my
knew-
screen
yeah,
right
it-
here.
A new twist on open source freedom is what they say. The Tromjaro Linux offers a new twist on the concept of open source as free software. First released as a beta in last December. The new distro is custom-built version of the popular Manjaro. Where's the new twist on it?
Hey, the Irish Santa Claus is here.
Irish.
Irish, Scottish.
Scottish?
maybe.
Yeah, the
Irish.
Scottish. The
Scottish.
Scottish Santa Claus. Sorry, Peter.
Ho ho ho, yo!
Grab the pitchforks.
Yeah.
There we go.
And of course, Cubicle Nate.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Hey. I just like to point out their website is freaking gorgeous. Like I gotta give them props. It's beautiful.
I gotta check this out now. You guys are killed. Yeah, I don't have the email. I wish I had the email because he did explain a lot in the email itself. So we'll have to read that next week and see. But yeah, nice website.
I can see why you like that, Chicken. Immediately, that wolf howling on top of the hill in the lovely sort of like flat stuff that you like to. Cool.
It reminds
look,
me
you know-
kind
you-
of what they did with Pop with that really like
Mm-hmm.
full site.
Yeah. Hey, look, I can see Tony's mind whirling now. He's just downloading Tromjaro, and it'll be installed before the end of the show.
Well, that's not necessarily the distro challenge, Tony.
Free
So
operating
we have to
system.
pick it. Just so you know, you taking a 50-50 chance, probably.
Just looking at the website, it looks like an interesting distro.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind, gentlemen, that it says an operating system based on Manjaro, which is based on Arch.
Yes.
So if you have Arch issues, you mean beware.
Nobody has Arch issues, Barb, right?
No, never.
No, never. I mean,
Not more. Arch is
my
stable.
hard drive once.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean, actually, this kind of seems kind of quirky, but interesting. I'm looking at their description here, trying to figure out what they really mean by trade free.
I think they just got rid of the barter system, so you can't like pay with goats anymore.
Oh, I'm gonna have to use my sheep.
Actually, I've got that right here on my screen.
No, I think I trade with chickens instead.
Ah, okay.
That or cats. You can use your cats.
Which I don't own.
I've got that right here on my screen. What they mean by that? It says, trade free. Basically, they don't believe that you should have to basically pay for software at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they've selected a certain suite of applications.
All right,
that don't
sorry,
have
go
any
ahead.
like donate links.
Sorry. Just thinking out loud.
Go ahead.
I wasn't paying
basically,
attention.
they don't have donate links.
I found the email, and he said that, let's see, they have a new release that is better built and managed. And they talk about, okay, so we use a unique style for the desktop, flat and washed out colors. We're also helping designing icons for the Zafiro icon pack that we use. We ship with the Vimix theme for both GTK and Qt. So almost all applications look good on Tromjaro. It's a tweaked GNOME desktop, and a few extensions are used. Some custom tweaks to them. Automatic backups provided by TimeShift. A customized Firefox so that it blocks ads
there's
and
interesting because TimeShift's not free.
It's not.
It's not. Sure,
It's
it
not.
No, Tony George closed it down. And
you're right. He did. Well, it's not no longer free.
I thought that was one of the pieces of software he left opened up.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
They do have.
I thought it was open.
Obviously.
So Flatpak and AppImage have support out of the box. Their own curated app library. And there you go. So we have a section on our website where we post articles, and we recently started to make some professional videos about Tromjaro that we are posting on this link that I have here.
So I don't want to be kind of like the stick that beats the horse or whatever the analogy is. But if the entire, like, I guess the point is that it's based around this principle of that you shouldn't have to pay for it, or that there's no sort of give that you have to do in order to take. But on a technical level, what does it actually give you that just using Manjaro doesn't? Like I get the whole philosophy principle thing, but like, couldn't you just not pay for Manjaro? Like, I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer. But
I'll tell you what. If we can set this up, maybe we'll ask them to come on and talk about it. And
because they might have plans that.
Should this be our challenge, our distro challenge? Let's say in the second week in January.
We'll see. What we'll do is we'll wait till next week.
Okay.
And then we'll pick our distro challenge. It's definitely going to be on the list. So yeah, I don't want to pick it this week, but next week we'll pick it and we'll see if this.
Some of the things they have from what they did in improvements into the new update they did. Fixed an error with GNOME tweaks that disabled all GNOME extensions on user logout. Added a custom slider for the Tromjaro installer describing what Tromjaro is all about. We now use the default GNOME apps categorization. They tweaked GNOME settings and schema files in GitLab. They also tweaked Firefox a bit, removed some extensions, added a few others. Most notably, we implemented the DAT decentralized network into Firefox by default, which allows people to open DAT websites natively. So it wasn't just branding that they did. They actually went in and tweaked the window manager and some of the apps that they use. So it is something that you would have to work at if you picked up Manjaro to get to where they are.
Do you mind if I ask, what is DAT? Unintended.
Honestly, I came across it a couple weeks ago in an email attachment that had been sent to my in-laws. I'd never seen it before. I assumed it was just a type of file, like a doc or a text, but apparently it's a type of website that you can go to, and I will have to look into it further. But
well,
that's not that type of network where who was the man, Berners-Lee or something, who created the interweb and now wants a decentralized internet? Is it that type of thing?
It's a distribution tool protocol.
I would point out that if I Google DAT website, I just get dating sites, so that's not.
try .dat.
Oh, maybe, yeah, okay.
Well, there is actually a dat.foundation website, and it's the first one that comes up on my Google. So I don't know what preferences you've got in there, Alan, but hey.
I don't use Google, so.
The second options are a trucking company, so I think something's weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it in YouTube, and then everybody can have a look and work out themselves, because it's going to be one of those really complicated things that is like written in gobbledygook and no one really understands.
Well, so here's the deal. We aren't picking a distro for this week. It's a free week, so you can do whatever you want. So if you decide you want to try Tromjaro this week, you go right ahead. And there you go, Tony. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's already on its way down.
It definitely looks pretty interesting, so I look forward to checking it out.
Oh, I see. Okay, now it's starting to make more sense. Okay.
Good. We'll expect the discourse article shortly then, Chicken.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this definitely needs to be summarized, but this is some fascinating stuff.
All right, so I would like to talk about Peppermint 10 Remix, if we can.
Sounds good to me.
What should we know about Peppermint 10 Remix?
It's Peppermint 10 remixed. It's the thing that people don't seem to understand when we do a remix is it's not Peppermint 11. It's not the next iteration of Peppermint. It's just a collection of all of the updates that have happened since the original ISO was created. So you haven't got a massive download after 6 to 7 months of updates. And then it's just one or two tweaks that we've come across in the forums where people have had certain problems. And it's interesting that one of the things that we've done is we've reverted to a previous version of PulseAudio because of PulseAudio problems on the latest version that people were reporting when we just rolled out updates throughout the year. And then we've added a couple of new features to our control panel. We've got the web browser manager choice now, which a lot of distros seem to be introducing. I think Peppermint OS has got one, Budgie's got one, and a couple of others have got one. So that makes it easier for people to decide on what browser they want to use. We've also, again, to help with the HIDPI situation, we've got a very quick mouse cursor size changer now as well. So instead of looking at this teeny little dot on the screen, you can make it as large as you want. It also still includes the font changer that we introduced last time around, again, to help with HIDPI. And we're hoping that we'll be able to drop some of these when XFCE finally gets round to introducing stuff. So that's all the remix is. It's just anybody who wants to install Peppermint can do it from a refreshed ISO and get a few extra goodies.
But the people that have Peppermint installed already will just get those updates, right?
No, they will have to follow a little update script, which Mark Greaves is now in the process of writing.
Okay.
And people say, oh, well, why isn't it available the day the distro drops? Well, because he was busy building the distro. And then the first week is, no matter what operating system you are, when you drop a new ISO, you get an influx of new users. So we've been coping with that influx on the forum. So give them a week to settle down. And it's Christmas. So we might get it this week. We might get it next week. And that will be because it's not a single distro's set of items. We still use the LXDE sessions and LX appearances mixed with the Cinnamon file manager, mixed with XFCE, mixed with a couple of other bits and pieces borrowed from elsewhere, which is what open source is all about. Take what bits you want, meld them together, and come up with a wonderful distro called Peppermint OS.
Will that update script show up in the update notification icon?
Or you have to go get
I have to, or will I have to?
Oh, no, it won't show. If you're running Peppermint and you're thinking like, the Mint update manager, no, because it's a set of commands that you have to run. It's not an automated process.
Yeah. All right.
So you'll have to go and check it out on the forums.
No, that's fine. As long as I know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
So Zeb, I did install Peppermint 10 Respin on GNOME boxes, and flawless, no problem. It works great. Like you said, Mark is working on upgrade script or set of scripts, and I'm looking forward to running that on my laptop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for the first time ever, I haven't done a fresh install because I've got too much time invested in my Peppermint 10 and Lutris games and virtual machines that I don't want to have to pick all of those out, move them somewhere else, install Peppermint 10 Respin, and then plug them all back in again, because I just don't work well with data partitions and symlinking and all that sort of stuff. Plus, I haven't got a clue where Quemu keeps all its files and that. So, yeah, I'll go through the update path and help test that. So we'll get the trusted users will get to try it out first before we let it loose on the public, because everybody's machine is going to be slightly differently, and that's why we never put out release candidates or anything else. It's just, there we go, we've tested it as best we can. Now you boys and girls can let us know. And hey, something crept in so that if you do install it in a VM, originally the browser manager didn't work from the control panel. It worked from the menu, but then Mark fixed that and did an instant update within 12 hours of being told about it. So
yeah, English Bob found that in his video.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, English Bob has a couple of videos out there on the Peppermint 10 Respin, and excellent. I highly recommend them.
Well, I wanted to relay the experience I had with my dad's computer, because he recently, he has a small form factor PC, and he was running Ubuntu Mate, and he wanted to try Peppermint again. And I did install it for him, but man, that was a whole mess to try to get, because it's a Dell. And you had to go in and turn off secure boot and all of this stuff just to get it to, you had to take it out of the RAID configuration it was in order to recognize the actual NVMe drive that was in the computer. Like it was, and that's nothing to do with Peppermint. That's just Dell.
I was going to say, do you not
settings.
suffer that from any other Ubuntu-based distro?
Oh, yeah. This was just the first time we installed a distro on it, and yeah, it was just a mess. But
because I suffered that on my Lenovo laptop, which had some weird RAID configuration, and I couldn't quite work out how they could have RAID on a single drive.
That's exactly the way this was. It was in a RAID configuration with one drive in it.
It's crazy. I don't know how to do it.
But anyway, once we finally figured out how to get past that, we did install it, and everything is fine. There are two issues with it. One, there are certain applications that don't scale well. Like, for example, like the right-click menu on some of his applications are fine. And some of the right-click applications on certain ones, like private internet access, LibreOffice Writer, are just super tiny. I mean, super tiny. And I don't know of a way, no matter what you do with the DPI scaling, all of the fonts get raised, but not the LibreOffice fonts.
So, and again, my question would be, did that happen on Ubuntu Mate?
No. No.
So
that
it must
didn't.
be an XFCE thing then.
Yeah. And
There's a
that's
setting within LibreOffice to change the icon size. You can override it.
It's not the icon size; it's the font size.
So
The
when you
font
right mouse,
size
so
is
I know exactly
just-
what you're talking about, because if you right mouse click the private internet access little icon,
Yes.
it's this tiny little box that says, do you want to configure it, open it? And it's like minuscule,
It's
really, really small.
super tiny, and it
Yeah.
has something to do with the DPI scaling, and I don't know how to fix it. But if anybody knows how to work that out somehow, that would be great, because that is one of the issues. And the other issue is he has specific shortcuts he likes. Like, for example, he has a LibreOffice document template that he uses, where it's a blank document, but it's his font size and his settings and his paragraph lines and headings and stuff. And so it's easy to make a shortcut in XFCE, but it's not so easy to make a shortcut to a specific document on the panel in XFCE. So you got to add it to the panel, then you got to go in, put in the right path.
But would that not be running OpenOffice with a parameter to tell OpenOffice to open this document, not expect the shortcut to work out how to do it?
Right. That's exactly what we had to do. I had to make the shortcuts for him, but it's not a simple drag and drop operation like it is on other distros. So
you're saying that you can drag that document out of OpenOffice and create a shortcut.
You can drag you can't drag it out of LibreOffice, but you can drag it from the file manager to the panel and create a shortcut on other distros, but not XFCE. Just doesn't work, I guess.
I can do it in Pantheon. It just links directly to that document.
Yeah.
Okay,
so it would be, and that's not a Peppermint thing so much, unless Mark and you guys can figure out a way to go around that. That's more of an XFCE situation, because Ubuntu is the same exact way.
Yeah. Now I'm going to do exactly the same as I do to everybody else. Have you got a link to the forum post?
Yes, I'll get right on that.
Okay.
Alan, what do you want to say?
Rocco, as far as your problem with the font size on LibreOffice, did you try going into the options and unchecking non-proportional fonts only and trying to manually adjust the font size?
No, I didn't. Now, does that affect?
Yeah, that is an option.
Does that affect the document, or does it affect LibreOffice itself?
That's the LibreOffice.
The menus,
the way
and
it
stuff.
displays. Yeah, the way it displays and everything.
Okay, I'll have to go in and check that.
Like in the toolbar when you hover over it, or in your tab, that's what it is. It's for the interface.
Right.
That's what I would try to do to try and resolve that.
But that doesn't solve that, and I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know. I can't say it's specific. It is specific programs, but there's no rhyme or reason which ones actually do that.
Out of general curiosity, does this happen on Ubuntu 1910?
Haven't tried Ubuntu 1910
because
on
I
his
think
computer.
Peppermint's still using the 1804 repos, which is the last version of XFCE, right?
Correct.
Yes.
They don't have the GTK3 stuffs yet, so things aren't going to automatically.
Oh no, we're updated. We're updated because it's already the HWE update thing. So it is.
I know, but that's the kernel. That's not the XFCE.
No, I'm
stack.
pretty sure. I mean, I'm not running at the moment. I'm running Ubuntu Studio, but I'm pretty sure it is XFCE 4.4.
So unless you guys roll your own repo for XFCE, it's gonna
not
still
that I'm
be
aware of.
Okay, so it'll still be the 1804 versions, which is the last version.
I'll double check unless Peter's got his VM up and running. He can check for me what version of XFCE it's running.
I don't have it up right now.
If, like I said, if Mark or somebody can come up with like I said, it's a Ubuntu problem where you can't. It's not a Ubuntu. It's an XFCE problem where you can't just drag a specific document to the panel and make a shortcut. Maybe somebody can come up with a workaround so you can do that. I don't know, but that's more for when we set it up. I can set up I can go in and manually add the shortcuts. That's not a problem. But if he wants to make a shortcut, he's not going to be able to do that. And the font size on the programs would be really nice. But other than that, he loves Peppermint. So,
when you say the font size on the programs, what do you mean again?
About like private internet access. When
the right mouse clicking, yeah.
Yeah, when you go into the settings or when you go like to pick a server, super.
I have a feeling that might be, unless you're saying it doesn't do it on, but you said it does do it on other Ubuntu stuff.
It doesn't do it on Ubuntu Mate, I know that, and that was the last one we tried on it. And I
Oh,
thought we
really?
did try Ubuntu. I thought we tried Ubuntu, but I can't remember now for sure. But it doesn't do it on Ubuntu Mate. I know that.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, chuck a forum post out, and we'll get straight on it. Won't you, Mark? If you're in the chat listening.
And there is Eric Eichmeyer in the chat. Eric, if you want to join us, you're more than welcome to. You want to install Zoom, and we'll put the link in there if you want to join us, and you can tell us about Ubuntu Studio if you like. Yeah. Okay. If you want to do that, we will definitely give you the floor, Eric, and talk about it. Otherwise, we're gonna move on for the moment. Derek, happy birthday!
Thank you so much.
You doing anything special, dude, or what?
No, not really. I just it was last night, and we just watched a little bit of YouTube and relaxed.
All right,
Good stuff.
very nice. All right, is anybody got anything they want to bring up? They want to talk about?
Oh, I could talk about elementary.
Well, dude, I gave you the floor if you wanted. I mean,
Chicken, when did you switch to
gave him the
elementary?
floor. I mean, that's your fault.
Wait, Chicken just did a video. Did you not?
Oh, I did. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I forgot. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh,
Tell
yeah,
us
that was
about
this
this
morning.
video you just did.
Yeah, so I went out and I bashed everyone using minimize buttons. Now, I did a video because Elementary OS doesn't have minimize buttons, and that throws a lot of people like way off because it's almost everywhere except for Elementary and GNOME by default. Basically, I just covered that there's a lot of workarounds to minimize, and the point of especially workspaces is that you don't have random desktops with just a bunch of stuff hiding at the bottom with sort of no organization. When I need a window to go away, the reality of it is it probably either shouldn't be open in the first place or it's part of a different task. I don't need it to be merged in with a whole bunch of other stuff thrown around in the taskbar. So that's kind of why moving to a new workspace or just putting it on another workspace makes more sense than just throwing it to the bottom of the screen in a pile of other crap.
Right.
You guys got me now?
Eric?
Hey.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Well, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate that. Sure. My apologies for not getting a hold of you during the week, because I should have got a hold of you earlier in the week and told you about it so that you had a little bit of heads up, but I didn't get there. Sorry.
Yeah, the Ubuntu Cinnamon lead is who told me what was going on. I'm like, well, shoot me the link. He shot me the link, and I just so here I am. Just
All
decided
right.
to join the chat. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can answer some questions.
Well, let's start out. Maybe we'll give you some time to talk to us about Ubuntu Studio and who is the target audience for Ubuntu Studio?
Yeah, the target audience for Ubuntu Studio is really anybody who does any sort of creativity, whether that be video production, audio production, graphic design, photography, desktop publishing, really anything of that sort. So it's a distribution designed around creative types. That's why you pretty much have everything and the kitchen sink installed from the get-go.
Yes, you do. But you know, we I don't know if you probably didn't hear our comments on it earlier, but that part in the installer where you're able to pick what applications you want installed and specifically each and every part of what you want, that is an awesome feature to add in there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's broken with the latest version of Ubiquity, which is the installer program. If you read the release notes, it will mention that that portion is broken, but there is a fix coming out for 2004.
Well, I didn't actually try to remove anything, so I don't know.
Okay, but Tony did, and he seemed to think that messed up the base installation. Would it have changed bits and pieces of that? Is that how it's broken?
Yes, that's how it's broken. So what's going on is when you unselect something, what happens is it basically also tells the system that the meta package that component is part of is no longer needed. So uninstall that meta package, and unfortunately that'll uninstall the entire desktop meta package. And then at the end of the installer, Ubiquiti wants to run an auto remove, so it does an auto remove on everything that the system doesn't think is necessary. So that's why it's broken. And so we've got, unfortunately, Ubiquiti is something that is beyond the scope of the developers for the Ubuntu Studio team. It's actually the upstream Ubuntu development team who is working on all of that. So we had somebody actually made a YouTube video and told us about what was going on. I'm like, okay, I need you to do a bug report explaining this exact same situation. So he did. It got tagged to me. I went ahead and tagged it back to the proper package, which is Ubiquiti, and said, hey, this is broken. I need you guys to fix this. I can't fix it. So
well, that's good news for Tony, because I'm pretty sure he thought he was going mad when he said I uninstalled a couple of packages, and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Let's try that again.
Yeah, it's something we've heard about on askubuntu.com as well as in our chat room. It's something that we know is broken that my small team cannot fix. So it's basically the Ubiquiti developers, which is part of the Ubuntu desktop team, who are working on that.
How many people do you have on the team, Eric?
I have about 6.
Very nice.
Including a very big team, then, considering how polished it is.
Yeah, it is definitely not a big team. We have myself, Len Ovens, Ross Gammon, a couple of guys named Brian, and they're relatively new, so I'm still learning how to pronounce their last names. Elo Dogrul and the other one escapes me. I don't have any notes right now. Came completely unprepared. So
that's all right. Thomas Ward, it says here.
Yes, Thomas Ward. That's right. That's the 6th one. How can I forget him? He is the guy who does, if we got a package, it goes to him. I do a bunch of the packaging. Ross does a bunch of the packaging, but Ross is a core developer with Ubuntu. So, and he's part of the team. So stuff goes with him. Also interesting to note, he's also the maintainer of Nginx on Ubuntu.
Yep. And he does some sysadmin stuff for us over in Ubuntu land.
Yep, that's right. That's right. He does sysadmin for Ubuntu land. Yep, exactly.
You guys got any questions for Eric?
Oh yeah, actually, how do you guys kind of prepare Jack in a way that is supposed to kind of expect various hardware configs and adapt accordingly? Like, what's the process there between testing and also making it flexible enough that people can install it without it being broken by default?
Okay, so there's a couple of different questions there. That's a really loaded question.
Sorry.
So basically there's an application that kind of interfaces between Jack and the system components. It's called Zeta. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but it does a lot of the what do you call it? It does a lot of the USB configuration as far as that goes, but also excuse me, you can actually explore this yourself if you go to launchpad.net/Ubuntu Studio -defaults, I believe it is. In fact, I'm going to get myself there. Excuse me. And what Ubuntu Studio defaults does, and that's just basically all the default settings. And I guess it's not there, so maybe anyways, what we do is we've got some defaults that are set in a meta package, and then beyond that, there is some trying to think. So the low latency configuration is done right there for you.
But basically everything is done and working for you when you get the system set up.
Exactly. You shouldn't have to do too much tweaking on your own.
Which is fantastic for some of the programs like Jack and Carla and everything else. So, yeah.
Yes, correct.
I would like to point out, and I did earlier, that you guys put in the whisker menu for the Ubuntu Studio information section, and you have a whole listing of all of the ways to, whether that's to contribute or the mailing list or the website, the IRC channel, the help documents. All of that is set in the whisker menu in that section, and I think that's something that every distro should have. That is a great touch.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, that's been in since long before I was on, and it used to have some other spots to go to, like the old forum, which we're pretty much deprecated at this point because nobody participates in it and whatnot. We had a subsection of the Ubuntu forums that really we can't really do anything with, so it's there, but it's not really in use. The last forum post was like in 2014 or something sick like that. So I decided let's replace that with Ask Ubuntu, because that is something that the entire myself and a whole slew of people are looking on, and it's run by the Stack Exchange engine, and it's really something that it is so much better than, say, forum posts anyways, because you can search and you can look up answers to questions that have already been asked if you have a question that's the same or similar. And not only that, but it can always be kept up to date. People can always go back and edit the post for the latest bit of information from the latest steps involved. Like if there's a change or something in solving a problem, then it can be done from there. It's searchable from Google, it's searchable from Bing, it's searchable everywhere. Whereas forum posts are not. They're not aggregated by and neither are the mailing lists. They are not aggregated by search engines, so, whereas anything on the Stack Exchange engine is. So that's one of the nice selling points, and something that really Alan Pope with Canonical kind of something he told me about, and I was like, that's a really good point, being able to make things searchable and timeless in a way. So we had decided to get rid of the forums and went on to askubuntu.com. And I mean, there's even a whole tag section for Ubuntu Studio on there. So people, I've been trying to tell people, if you need help, askubuntu.com is your first place to go, not the IRC, because the IRC logs aren't searchable, not any place else. Askubuntu.com is the first place to go for support. If you can't find it there, or if you're in a time crunch, feel free to see us on IRC or the mailing list.
Very nice.
Yeah, those are definitely good points. I think the elementary team did something similar, and that's why they're using Stack Exchange, is because it's impossible to find the help that you need otherwise. It's just not going to show up.
Right, exactly.
Well, go ahead, Zeb.
I was just going to say, so Eric, who does the design of Ubuntu Studio? Because one of the things that everybody's commented on, we know it's based upon XFCE, but in the looks department, it blows XFCE out of the water. So a big shout out to your design people. Who are the primary people who work on that there?
You mean the theming or the
theming,
backdrop?
Yes.
Okay, that would be me. So I'll take that compliment. Thank you. When I got on the team, it was still it was using the Numix theme for the GTK theme and the default icons for XFCE, and I was just like, guys, this is really dated. And we in 1810 we had just introduced a new wallpaper. I'm like, guys, this just does not go together. Let's get something that goes together. So I went searching through what we had already in the repos, and I came up with the Materia GTK theme and the Papyrus icons. And that just seemed to fit with the overall theme. We had the two fit hand in hand pretty well together, the wallpaper. And then what I ended up doing was I took the official mascot design that came from Ubuntu and stuck that on there, gave it a nice glow, kept the color theming with it, stuck our logo on there, bada boom, bada bing, done. And everybody's like, whoa, this blows me away. I'm like, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, the great thing is too, if you guys do want to play with like color specific stuff inside of Materia and Papyrus. They both have kind of like frameworks for adjusting different accents, animations, colors, and things like that within them. So you guys can adapt them to fit Ubuntu Studio more directly as well in the future.
Now then the question becomes, what would that actually, do I have to go and modify the code of the theme itself, or is that a configuration?
They have like configuration tools for it because CSS is
Yeah, that and that's the thing. I want to stray away from doing too much downstream work. The Materia and Papyrus are both in upstream Debian. And if I can avoid having to work to maintain those myself, that would be ideal. Unfortunately, we are in a situation where the upstream Debian has a patch that we had for the Ubiquity installer that I had to make for the Ubiquity. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Upstream made it for Ubiquity. I had to patch the version in Ubuntu because it was too late to patch it in Debian. And that patch has since made its way into the official release of Materia, but that hasn't worked its way into Debian yet. So what we have is an old version that is patched by myself. And unfortunately, it's not a situation I like to be in because I don't have to maintain a ton of the non-multimedia components. See what I'm saying?
Yep. Okay, we have an interesting question from chat. Mitchell asks, how do Ubuntu Studio devs decide which packages to include or exclude? Is Ubuntu Studio used more by audio creators or visual creators?
Okay, so I'll answer the question of audio versus video, and the answer to that question is yes. So the goal is that it's used co-equally by both. Myself in particular, I am a video producer. I am an audio producer. I am a photographer. I have dabbled in graphics design. You know, this is one of the reasons I got involved is because I do everything that it does, aside from most of the publishing stuff, even though I could probably do that if I wanted to. Now, the thing is, we want people from any of those things, which is why it's called studio, because of publishing studio, video studio, photography studio. You want any type of studio environment to be able to use that item, this distro. So that's where we're at with it, is that it doesn't matter if it's audio or video, we want you to be able to use it, you know what I'm saying? So we're not, well, there is a vast, humongous chunk going into audio because, a lot of our time goes into audio because it's the hardest to configure. But in terms of, we still support all of them equally. Now, that's the other point. What chooses what goes in? What we look at is there an application that we have that would benefit our users? And if there is, do we already have something? Somebody's proposed. Well, so let me back up. So what would benefit our users? Okay, let's put it in. Now, the other question is that we have to look at, do we already have something that somebody's requesting something? Do we already have something that fits that bill? If yes, then we are like, no, we don't want to add it. The other part is, it's just so that we don't have any, redundant software. Then the other so that's the reason for that. So, like for instance, the exception I can see, and this is something I discussed early on, is we have both Kdenlive and OpenShot, which are really two very similar applications. But a lot of people are like, well, why do you have both? And I can't answer that question because that happened before Eric. So I just want to explain that right off the bat. But, that's something that maybe we'll discuss in the future. We're like, okay, why do we have these both? And every time I've asked it, I've been confronted with, well, it's because they're two different, they have two different use purposes. I'm like, okay, explain that to me. Can anybody explain that to me? So it's something we'll explore in the future. Yeah. Oh, Clayton, you can?
I do use both, and I tend to use them for different reasons. I tend to use Kdenlive for things that require a lot of in Kdenlive functions that Kdenlive does fairly well. So certain like multi-layered tracks are really, really well done in Kden Live. But OpenShot works really well with external tools, so it can call Blender functions really, really nicely that Kden Live just doesn't seem to be able to do. So I kind of use them for different purposes, even though they kind of essentially do the same thing.
I also find
that answers my question.
I was going to say, I also find that OpenShot does layering and background animations better than Kden Live does. And I also find that it's a little bit more stable than Kden Live is as well. That's why I usually use it as my main one. So,
yeah, see, whereas I'm an old Final Cut user, and I find OpenShot just to be completely lacking, whereas Kden Live has a lot more tools closer to it. So yeah, that's a situation where I'm at. Whereas Kden Live, they keep cracking away at it. And OpenShot, I don't use it that much, but it's good to have all these different perspectives because heck, I'm always open to input.
DaVinci Resolve for the win. Just saying.
Yeah, I have used DaVinci Resolve a little bit, and while I would love to have that by default, unfortunately the licensing does not allow it.
I know. But
yeah, I get a lot of questions like, well, why don't you have this by default? I'm like, I take a quick peek at the licensing. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening.
No, it's probably not going to happen, but still.
Yeah.
So what's the... Go ahead.
I was just going to say also DaVinci Resolve will not work on a lot of computers because of AMD graphics card problems as well.
This is another reason why you should buy NVIDIA. Yep. What is the goals for 2004? Do you have anything that you guys are going to add, or is it just polishing?
It's a combination of polishing, upgrading existing software, and like for instance, Ubuntu Studio Controls is getting a decent little makeover that we're working on, so to increase its usability. In terms of existing software as it exists now, I was thrown a couple of curveballs, and that's that. For 2004, Ubuntu is removing both Python 2 and Qt 4 from the repositories, which gave me a curveball in that we have some applications, two of which that I needed to figure out, okay, how do we either A, replace it, or B, is there a newer version? So with like Scribus, which is a desktop publishing tool, it relied on Python 2, but there is a next generation Scribus NG available in the Debian repositories. That was an experimental. We went ahead and did a sync and brought it in, and it is replacing Scribus just 1-to-1. No big deal. And but the other one is Hydrogen. Hydrogen is a drum kit tool for it's actually really neat. The problem with it is running on Qt 4. There is a 1.0 beta version that uses Qt 5. Unfortunately, it brings up this nice little dialog box that says you are running beta software. If you plan on running this, please make sure you give us bug reports. And for an LTS version, you do not want something in your repository that has something that says that. So it's going to throw people for a loop. People are going to get angry, like, I thought this was stable software. So it can put me in between a rock and a hard place. And so we're thinking of alternatives. So what if we have to get rid of Hydrogen for this reason until the next version, like 2010? Right now, I have packaged up an audio plugin called AVL Drums. It's made by the same guy who's a major contributor for Ardour, the DAW. So AVL Drums is a plugin that basically has samples from two actual drum kits, and it actually is graphically represented by said drum kit. And it's MIDI programmable, so you can use it just like you would use Hydrogen, and you can do sequencing like in Ardour or in Qt Tractor or something like that. And Well, actually, I don't think QTractor can do it because it's, yeah, I'm thinking, I don't think it can use the plugin format. But the point is that I'm working on just a fail safe in case the Hydrogen people don't release their 1.0 final in time for 2004 LTS's feature freeze. So I'm just getting these things into place, and other things just as they come along. We've got a new website that should be coming out within the next few weeks. I mean, it's a busy time of year, so it's kind of tough to get all the requests out and all that. So a new website is it has been in the works for a few months, and it is just on the last stretch. So we'll be able to get that going. And as far as everything else, yeah, just polish. And get people involved, work on some stuff as we have time and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and just like I said, polish. That's the big thing right now, and that's why when people have been saying, well, should I upgrade to 1910 or install 1804? I'm like, get 1910, because the jump from 1910 to 2004 is not going to be that big of a leap. You might as well be running the LTS now, basically, because the LTS is coming out in April, and 1910 isn't that much of a leap up to the LTS. And it never usually is for a release just prior to the LTS. Just historically, if you look at Ubuntu.
Right. All right. Any other questions?
Not from me.
Okay. Eric, do you have something that, obviously, you need certain things to help you out? Do you have something specific you need as far as donations, contributions in some way?
That's something that's kind of been on the back burner, is being able to get a way of direct donations going on. And unfortunately, I don't have any method of doing that yet. But I mean, keep an eye on the webpage, keep an eye on Twitter, basically the irregular avenues. Our webpage is where really all of our news comes out. You can also find that on the Ubuntu fridge, that kind of thing, the Ubuntu Planet, Ubuntu, stuff like that. So there's tons of ways that you can find out what our needs are. And, I usually post them when we need them. If anybody out there listening is IRC savvy, we could use some help with support in our IRC channels, because the two main guys who are in our IRC channels, myself and Len Ovens, we are on Pacific time, US and Canada. So when we're sleeping, people pop up, they have questions, they don't get answers. I've seen people get irate in our chat room because they're not getting answers. And I'm like, sorry, it's a volunteer project. A, B, we're just not there. So if we can get more people who are listening in our chat room and who understand Ubuntu and our vision for it, and are able to help people in our chat room and also on askubuntu.com, that would be absolutely wonderful, because I can't do it alone. Len can't do it alone. Our entire team can't do it alone. We really need help, especially when it comes to helping other people.
Well, how would you prefer
I might be able
that?
to do that.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
How would you prefer that, Eric? Would you prefer them to get a hold of you to talk out what they're expected of, or do you just want them in there helping out right away?
Just get in there. Just do it. JFDI.
Okay. Very nice. You hear it. You heard it. If you want to get involved, Alan, it's a great thing. If you want to help out, they could use the help. Eric, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it, man.
Go ahead and just post a link in the chat right here. Go ahead.
Okay, for the IRC channel, because that's on Launchpad. It's Launchpad #Ubuntu Studio.
Okay, and then
Launchpad. I mean, Freenode. 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 Yeah, that's okay, that. Also, go askubuntu.com.
Okay.
Very easy to find.
I can do that. I'll find it.
All right, awesome. Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Eric, you're more than welcome to stick around if you'd like, but if you got to go, that's that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I gotta go. I got a hungry child who's bugging me, saying you were supposed to start dinner. I'm like, well, yeah, this happened. Stuff happens.
I'm sorry, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. That was pretty awesome that he joined.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. We were just in the middle of a Peppermint conversation, and look who shows up. But English Bob, what do you know?
Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing?
I hear you did some videos on Peppermint, dude.
Oh, I've got a butt ton to come. Yeah, I've gone totally OTT as usual. So I've redesigned my office and very excited. So I've gone from Salient OS and Calculate Linux on 2 machines. Done. Right, dead easy. Now I've got Peppermint 10 on my main, Peppermint 10 on my secondary, and Peppermint 10 on my gaming laptops. And I've got 3 machines. So it's like the L cars off of Star Trek. And I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. But man, it looks impressive.
Well, tell us your thoughts on Peppermint, dude, on the new one.
Wow. Well, first of all, can I wish everybody a fabulous Christmas and a very happy New Year. Lovely to see you all. Apologies for the lack of my appearance over the last few weeks. Yeah, Peppermint 10 has the respin is completely blown me away, but I'm very excited personally because I've made a few decisions over the past couple of weeks. Some are through choice, some are through being bullied by Zebedee Boss and
that's usual though.
His partners in crimes, you know what they're like.
Mm-hmm.
So Peppermint 10 respin, I expected it to be another Christmas cracker. But what you guys and girls don't know and don't see is over the past 6 months, I've spent so many man hours doing stuff on Peppermint. And it's amazing how Peppermint goes from, do you know what? I'm wasting my time. This really is just pointless because it's never going to work. To, oh my God, I didn't know that. So if you do this, that, and that, it's flawless. And I've had that experience so many times. And I just wonder how many people on any flavor of Linux start out to do something, get to hurdle 1 or 2 and think, you know what, it's a waste of time. When actually just a little tiny bit more effort and persistence and you get exactly what you want. And a classic case has just been typed in the chat by somebody. And it was, I can't remember who it was now, but somebody was saying, oh, I'm having real problems getting Warframe running. And Warframe is a real pain in the cahoots. But if you do it start to finish right, it's flawless. But because there's so many different little elements that you need to put into the cake mix to get it to work, miss one of those elements out and you're straight back to the, that was a waste of time. So, as I say, for me, I've gone totally OTT. Next year, I want to spend a lot more time helping people on the Peppermint forums, which I'm definitely going to do. But for me personally, the big one is moving from a 1-machine stream setup to a 2-machine hardware encoded setup. So I'm so excited to do that on the Linux. So that's going to start on Boxing Day. And Peppermint is my chosen operating system to do all this on.
So EB, how do you have that set up to do 2 machines for streaming?
Okay, so I've actually needed 3 machines. So I've got my main gaming PC. Right. So what's going to happen, I'm going to take the HDMI feed out of there. No OBS on that machine at all. And then from the HDMI feed, that will go into a hardware encoder. And then I'm going to feed that out of there into my main monitor so I can play the games. But then there's also a USB Type-C lead, which is going to plug directly into my HP gaming laptop. That's going to then see that as a hardware capture source. OBS will be running on that, and the gaming laptop will actually do the live streaming, which is fantastic, which means the PC only ever has to run Peppermint plus the game. No other stress on the PC whatsoever. And the gaming laptop, that will deal with all the stress of actually doing the live stream. The exciting thing for me is to be able to do a proper 1080 p 60 frames a second stream hardware, which is going to be such a difference to the quality to the viewers from what I've been able to produce software. So the other thing that's excited me so much about Peppermint is I've got it installed on an Intel-based machine, dual core. I've got it on a Ryzen 3 1200 quad core, and I've got it on an Intel i5 quad core, 2 with NVIDIA's, 1 with Intel, and it's absolutely brilliant on all 3 machines. Right out the box, nothing else to do. Great testament to the guys and girls at Peppermint.
And is your laptop an Optimus laptop? And it just
Yep,
works?
it's the old Optimus laptop. It's older than the one that you've got, Zeb, and it's the old Optimus. But again, the beauty of Peppermint is at the point of install, if you put a tick in install hardware drivers, not only out of the box does Peppermint install the correct NVIDIA drivers for you with nothing else to do, but even more awesome, the NVIDIA Utility Manager also includes a auto switch manager. So you can automatically not only switch between NVIDIA, but also Intel, and it works flawless. Nothing else to do. It's amazing for Optimus laptops. Very, very great job by the Peppermint team. So yeah, I'm buzzing. I'm ODing on Peppermint. Can't get enough of it. Give it massive thumbs up. But more than that, I want to try and impart on other people what I've learned over the last 6-8 months through getting my hands dirty and doing it the hard way. So that's going to be my focus for next year. So lots of gaming, lots of abuse, hopefully off Zeb and the crew, and hopefully lots of helping other people. So it should, fingers crossed, be a cracking Christmas and a good New Year.
Well, sometime I'm going to have to maybe pick your brain, EB, because I have wanted to stream games for a long time on Linux, and I just am not able. I have a 2080 NVIDIA card and a powerful system, and I am still unable to stream and play a game at the same time.
It's because you're doing it wrong.
Now, of course it is, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So, I mean, I did the Stadia stream, and that was fine, but a regular installed game like Rocket League, and Rocket League's not even a high-powered game. Like, you need a whole lot of resources for it. Yet I can't stream it and play it.
You're misplacing pixels.
The wrong way.
I'll be more than happy to help you out, Rocco. We can spend 10 minutes or we can spend 2 hours, buddy. But at the end of it, I'll give you the knowledge that I've learned, the best way to do it. And there's lots of, say, pitfalls that people make. And I made them all myself. And I spoke to top Twitch streamers. I've spoke to top YouTube streamers. I've spoke to a whole raft of different people. How do they do it? Why they're doing it that way? Now, bear in mind, we've all got one huge advantage over all these top streamers because they're all streaming from Windows 10, which is a massive, massive disadvantage from the outset. We're on Linux.
Mm-hmm.
We've got much better networking out the box. We haven't got keyloggers and spyware and malware running in the background. And we don't have to suffer that vile bit of software that comes with Windows 10 as standard, called the Task Manager, because that eats about 6 gig of RAM for you start. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to absolutely help anybody and everybody as much as I can. And although I'm on the Peppermint, and as you all know, it's been my beloved distro now for such a long while, it doesn't matter what Linux distro you're on, I'm always more than happy to help anybody in any way I can.
Very nice. All right, what do we got? Anybody want to talk about something?
I'd just like to put a little plug in for some moment of madness that I'm going to be doing on December the 27th.
Sorry, Zeb, just before you do this, people, this is worth getting online to the betting shops and having a fiver that it ain't going to be completed. I'm just saying.
Well, as I've replied to you in the forums, I'm having a 10-1 on that one, EB. If I do fail to do 24 hours, then you can name your charity of choice and I'll put 50 quid in there. If I do it, then you will put that £5 to Free Geek and anything else that you want to donate. So yeah, I've made the foolish decision that I'm going to try and attempt a 24-hour YouTube stream starting at 6 a.m. on Friday, the 27th of December. I'm going to be playing ETS primarily, and there will be some boring Christmas deliveries in there. But lots of the times I will be doing my usual Caravan Conkers. And sorry, caravan lovers out there, I've got nothing against caravans except that as Shikin pointed out, they do spin quite nicely off each other. And if you can catch one in a tunnel, it's even better because they then go bouncing off the walls as well. So yeah, we're going to be trying that for 24 hours. And it's a marvelous charity called Free Geek that all the donations we want to go to. And as I'm able to develop some more information, I'll let everybody know.
PZ, if people didn't see Destination Linux, what is Free Geek?
Free Geek is a company and an organization that tries to help the digital divide. They provide free equipment and free training and free learning to those people who can't always afford it. They also try and help with e-waste. So rather than you just taking your broken laptop and chucking it down the local dump, send it over to Free Geek. They will either hive off some of those parts of that laptop to fix another laptop, or they will make sure that that laptop is disposed of properly, and that all of the rich elements and minerals that go to make up a laptop, all that gold and platinum that people don't realize are inside there, that's reutilized and reused properly. So not only does it help those people in need, it's also helping the environment as well.
Very nice.
I'd just like to say I think it's a fantastic challenge by Zeb. Well done. And please, everybody, do your absolute best throughout the 24 hours to spend, even if it's just a tiny small window of your time on that live stream, because the opportunity for you to dish out the abuses he's doing the stream is going to be, it's palatable, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I also might open up Discord, and then because what's going to happen is I will be taking 20-minute breaks and tea breaks and other bits and pieces, and during that time I'll also open up a Zoom window so people can come up and just generally chat about whatever they want, or about the stream, or about their experiences with Free Geek, because I've already seen people in the chat saying that they have used Free Geek in the past and it's helped them get up and running. So it's going to be good. I'm going to be tired, but I will make a statement now that I will be here on Saturday the 28th.
Are you sure?
So although
you're going to stream for 24 hours and then you're going to make it to Biddle.
I'm going to stream for 24 hours, sleep for 10, and then get up and do Biddle on the 28th.
Well, will you put a link in the chat for all that?
I will do. I can't do it right now because we haven't got everything 100% set up.
Okay.
But it's basically going to be on my Zebedee Boss YouTube channel. And as soon as I have more information, I'll stick a link on the discourse for you.
Very nice.
Well done, Zeb. Rocco, sorry to jump in. I could really use all of you guys and girls' help because I've got a real problem coming up. So I've just spent 10 minutes telling you all what my aims are for next year.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem that I've got is, how do I make myself available? What's the best way to make myself available to people? Because I don't want to get into a scenario where somebody needs help with something. I'm out working for 12 hours and somebody says, oh, he said he was going to help everybody. And actually, I've asked what? I don't know how to make myself, I can be on the pet forums. I can be on Telegram. I can be on Discord. I've got my trusty mobile. What's the best way to make yourself? What's the best platform so that when somebody jumps on, at least I'm in a position to respond? Might not be the response they want, but at least they won't get ignored. Do you know what I mean? It's I really struggle with this, even in 2020 with all this technology.
Well, Shikin had an answer, I think.
So as you guys know, I don't sleep, and so I'm kind of always just lurking around.
Hey, Zeb's not going to very shortly. Don't worry about that.
That's true. I'll be bugging him plenty throughout that time. But what I've kind of found, and something that I've tried to do with Elementary, is that I've always offered my help if anyone ever needs it, and I kind of run into a similar issue where like people need it and I'm off doing something. Typically, what I've just found is that it's okay to have a little bit of a backlog. Things on like Telegram and Discord tags usually give you like counted notifications. So you can just kind of like, rather than trying to get at it all the time, like consistently throughout the day, it's okay if those stack up a little bit. So that way, when you actually have time to dig through your resources and kind of test things out, you can actually just kind of hammer them out in a more comfortable way rather than kind of trying to spread yourself thin the whole day.
Okay, well, I'm thinking of kind of leaning towards Telegram on Big Daddy's channel, because at the minute I've got it on every device and on my phone, and it's great when I'm driving along at work. All I get is bing, 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 and I was like, oh right, okay, so there's a conversation happening in Telegram then.
Well, you can mute. What I usually tell people to do, EB, is to mute the notifications on the groups. I even have muted the Biddle group. The only ones I get are the actual ones that are at me specifically. And then I am free to go in and look at the chat anytime I want. But to get all of them notifications for every single message would be ridiculous. So
that's a great shout, Rocker. I think I'll try that. So if anybody does want to have a chat with me, they need to direct it straight to me and not as a generalization. Yeah, that's a great shout.
They just do @English Bob and it'll ping you. And then when you go back into Telegram, you'll have the little @ in the bottom right-hand corner with 1, 2, 3, 4, however many people have tried to @ you.
Yeah. Perfect. Lovely.
So
Thank you, guys.
The first 54 will be me just annoying you because you won't know what's a real question.
There are times when we do @ certain people like multiple 100 times just to annoy them, but we would never do that to you.
I think the best one we ever did was Das Geek, and he ended up with about 142 ats.
Yeah, but that's Ryan, Zeb. It's got to be done, in it. That's the standard. That's not an extra.
Yep. Yeah.
Remind me not to join you guys on Telegram.
You should. It's fun. But EB, I wouldn't worry about being everywhere all the time. There's no way that you can. You be wherever you can be, and that will help the people that need help. You're always going to have people that you can't help because you're not there. You're not everywhere 24 hours a day. You do what you can.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Yeah, I just don't want people to have the experience of, oh, great, I'm sat here with all my kit, great, and he said he'll help me, great. Can you help me with this? Nothing. Can you help me with this? No. I just think it's such a disappointment for people, and Linux shouldn't be like that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if when you first offer this help, you just simply say to people, look, please remember, I do have a day job. I do sleep 8 hours a day. If not longer, and I'm in the UK.
8 hours a day? When did that happen?
Yeah. Sorry, Barbara, I think I cut you off as well. You were going to say something. No? Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's a great shout. So, okay, thank you, people. Well, we'll try that primarily on the Telegram, because I do have quite large periods throughout my working day where I'll perhaps have 15 minutes or 20 minutes just sat there listening to this bing, 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 bing. Well, now I know how to cure that. Hopefully that'll be a little more focused and productive.
No, that would be insane, because I have, I don't know, I'm sure everybody here has multiple Telegram groups that they are a part of. And if you're a part of, say, a Linux for Everyone Telegram group, I swear there's 3,000 messages a day in there. And there's just no way you lose.
It's
your
all
mind.
me too, really.
It's usually half chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also find. Oh.
Carry on.
I said I also find that I on my channel I just have a Discord. I'm actually starting a Discord, but you can just create a specific Discord and say, hey, if you need to get a hold of me, message me in this channel on my Discord server as well. And that way, you know where the backlog is, and you can just go through that and say, okay, this person messaged me this time, and this person tried to get my attention, etc. too. So that might also, that's the way I do it. But
okay, cool. Thank you. Well, I'd just like to bring one other topic, and then I'll make like a tree and be quiet. As you know, it's Christmas. It's a time of goodwill to all people. this is something that's really starting to get on my nerves, and probably a lot of people don't really care about it. But I've come on to Biddle tonight, and of course I've got the show loaded up live on another machine, and I see there's 44 thumbs up, which is fantastic, and 4 thumbs down. I really struggle to get my head around people sometimes. I have no problem with people thumbing anything down. I really, really don't. What I have a problem with is the lack of posting a comment underneath the show, whatever show it is, of why they've thumbed it down. Is that unreasonable and asking too much of people? You know, you got Rocco, who arguably has done one of the greatest shows now for I don't know how long, brought a great community of people together. Doesn't charge anything for it. It's free. Week in, week out. He does the Europe ones. He's done an astonishing job. I can't speak up. And yet you've now got 5 people who have thumbed the show down and not a single comment underneath the show. What on earth is the matter with people? Is it just the anonymity of the internet? Because I'm guessing those 7 people now, really, that is just unbelievable. That is mind-blowing. I'm guessing
there's a saying, haters gonna hate.
Yeah, but I don't accept that, because if these 7 people who have thumbed down were stood in a bar with Rocco, I guarantee you they wouldn't be hitting the thumb down. Hi, Rocco, how you doing? What a great job. Love you, buddy. I just... Is it just because the anonymity of the internet? Really?
Part of it, and I think it's just there are always going to be people who are going to say ick or whatever, or they're going to say no just because they can. And those are usually the ones who do not leave any reason why they're saying no.
I just find it disgusting, Barbara. It's disgusting. I don't have any problem with people saying, do you know what? I've watched this show for the last 6 months. Don't like it. Well, first of all, what are you watching it for? Hello? Go and get a life. Really? Secondly, at least just pop a comment saying, actually, Rocco, I didn't like the show. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, buddy, I've thumbed it down, but here's why. And Rocco can at least do something with that feedback, should he choose to do so. Probably tread on it with his size 13s. But
maybe
at least have the manners to leave a better feedback.
Well,
it's up to 8.
Wow.
Bob,
Yeah, and that's people just.
Bob, I'm just going to point. I'm just going to point out 2 of those likes were there before the show even started.
Yeah,
those dislikes.
That happens.
They were there before the show even started.
That happens every week. As soon as we go live, there's somebody thumbing down the video, and that's okay. I mean, EB, I feel
I finally got the first thumbs up. Finally.
I feel
if I remember
exactly
correctly,
like you said, where I mean, it doesn't bother me. If you want to thumbs down the video, that I don't really care. If you don't want to watch, then don't watch. If you do enjoy it, that's great. Stay here and join in.
If I remember correctly, the thumbs down does not actually hurt the channel or the video. It actually helps it. That's why if we used to watch Linus Tech Tips, he would say, if you like the video, like it. If you don't like it, you know what to do. Because thumbs downs to YouTube, it's actually engagement. So that actually promotes the video overall.
Okay. That's good to know.
Sorry, it just infuriates me, people. As I say, I don't know why, people have the inability to say, didn't like your show, blah, 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 so I thumbed it down. Thanks, great, brilliant. But you just thumb something down for no reason.
Well, then you open yourself up to the trolls as well. On my channel, one of my first videos I did, the guy thumbed it down, and then he said, "Hey, bro, you effing suck, blah, 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 because you don't use Vim," and this whole long comment. And I'm just like, he was just sitting there just cursing left and right. Then he went and commented on replied to every single comment for the next 5. I had to eventually mute him because he was cussing out all my viewers just because he just didn't like me. So there are those who are quiet, then those who are very, very, very vocal. And
yeah, and the saying "don't feed the fold."
You get all
feed the trolls.
kinds.
Is very good. It's very true. Don't feed the trolls. Just ignore them.
Yep. There, EB, I get emails from people who basically can't stand the channel and me, and those may be the people thumbing down the videos. But like I said, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's okay. That's their prerogative. They want to thumb down the video. That's their opinion. So.
Sorry, Rocco, I've got to disagree with you. It does matter, because week in, week out, you put a thankless butt ton of effort into these shows. I don't care what anybody says, you are responsible for bringing this awesome community together week in, week out. And the least people can do is afford you just a modicum of decency and respect and say, okay, I don't like the show. Here's the reason why. Great, thank you very much. I just find this so rude and ignorant. And the only reason people do it is because they can. No other reason. But if they were stood in a bar face to face with you, Rocco, they wouldn't dream of doing this in the real world. And it's just personally, I love trolls. I'll have trolls all day long. Fill your boots, because I've got a skin that's thicker than a rhino's backside. Don't worry about that. But it just makes me so angry that people get all this for free. And, still they have to do something that in real life, face to face, they wouldn't dream.
That's why, because they don't have to do it in face to face.
Yeah, I totally agree, Barbara. I really do. I just think it's despicable.
That protects them.
Yeah,
but then
absolutely.
Wouldn't it be a boring world if it was all the same?
Yeah.
And part of what makes Rocco such a wonderful gentleman is that he allows the freedom for everybody in the community, even if it is those people who don't leave a comment but still thumbs down. He is willing to set up the community to include everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think it's more of a damning indictment of the state of our species in 2019. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree. I despise, loathe, and abominate humans.
I just think on the one side we're so bright, intelligent, gifted, and on the other side we are as clumsy as we are stupid. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing we're not here for them. We're here to support each other.
So Rocco, didn't you have something to tell us?
Wait a second. The number of thumbs down just dropped to 5.
What did you say, Zeb?
I was going to say, didn't you have something that you wanted to mention as well?
I don't know. Did I? Remind me.
I thought you'd written it down in the documents.
You switched to Elementary OS. When did that happen?
Oh,
Rocco?
well, no. Actually, the test machine that I had, Elementary OS, went out and a new one came in. So I had to reinstall Elementary OS.
So is that now your daily, Rocco, the Elementary OS?
No, Pop OS is on my main machine as a daily. Elementary will be on the test machine as the daily, and I will use other drives for testing purposes. But the main OS on the testing machine will be Elementary. Yeah,
we'll get you.
Yep, maybe.
Not if Peppermint has anything to do with it.
All right, that's going to wrap it up because we got to get a last word in, and yeah. So again, we are not doing a distro challenge this week, Tony. If you want to try Tromjaro, you can, but we are not doing a distro challenge this week. It's a free week for the holiday, and we'll go from there. But everybody gets the last word. PZ.
Just want to say thank you, Rocco, and echo everything that Steve has just said, that this community that you have created, and I know you keep saying the community is us, but without you having started it in the first place, we wouldn't have this wonderful place to come to. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for creating this. And I just want to wish everybody in the stream and everybody in the chat a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2020.
Very nice. Eris, last word.
Thank you very much for the stream. Thank you for the developer joining us and talking to us about Studio. Thank you for developing that great distro that fulfills a need in Linux.
All right, Tony, last word.
I was going to install Tromjaro Linux on the testing machine. But
I'm disappointed, Tony.
Well, it's telling me at the moment that the computer does not satisfy some of the recommended requirements, and therefore I can install it, but some features might be disabled.
Really?
Whoa.
So I'm hesitant now whether to do it or not.
Don't they have a spot that says what the minimum system requirements are anywhere on their webpage? I haven't looked.
I didn't look. It took me ages to get it to download. It kept on failing. Okay. So I thought I'm never going to get this done by the end of the show, but we did finally get it downloaded. And
do you have a webcam?
Disappointed, Tony.
Sorry.
Hey,
I
Tony,
tried.
do you have a webcam with your computer? Maybe that's a requirement.
Well, if he didn't have a webcam, you wouldn't be able to see him, Harris.
Yeah, it's a
No,
laptop.
but that's not the computer he's installing it to,
No.
right?
It's a laptop I'm installing it on, so there's a webcam. Not to worry. Anyway, I don't want to delay proceedings. I'd just like to say thanks to Rocco for continuing to do this.
Competition, Alex. Look, competition.
It doesn't matter what people do, thumbs up or thumbs down. We all know that Rocco's a great guy and it's a great show and it's a great community, and that's all that matters really at the end of the day. And I'd just like to echo what Zeb said. Wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Very nice. Alan, last word.
Thank you, Rocco, for hosting this. This has actually been a great time. It's actually flew by. I didn't even realize it had been 2 hours yet. But to everybody, happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I may not be on next week. I might have something going on on the 28th. But if I don't see you, Happy New Year and have a great week.
Very nice. We got a cat competition going on here.
Yes.
Midstream.
But mine's been here most of the time.
Paul, last word.
You just
helped.
I was wondering what he was going to do. I was expecting a Christmas tree to pop up when someone mentioned Christmas tree earlier. So.
Oh, here come the thumb-downers.
Just
Linux
ignore
Santa
maybe.
Claus.
Yep.
Give good tidings to all.
All right,
Thanks, everybody.
That's good.
Thanks, Paul. Chris, last word.
I gotta say that's one of your better filters, Paul. That's really good.
Mint
Anyway,
Spider agrees. He agrees. Yeah.
I am not sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts, but I do drink a lot of their coffee. So hey. Anyway, one thing I wanted to ask. I'm going to use it for my last word. Are we restricted to one prediction or several predictions? Or
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, it depends on the time. I would say you could have at least 2 or 3 predictions.
Okay.
So there's no limit or minimum.
Okay, so other than that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Well, we'll see each other before the end of the new year, but Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah for those who had celebrated Hanukkah, and all the other holidays that seem to be popping up I can't keep track of. So I'm just waiting for Nate to pull out one of his kids to beat the cats. So I mean, that's usually what happens is that, the cats show up and all of a sudden one of Nate's kids show up and he wins because of the cuteness award. So anyway, everybody have a great week and stay warm.
All right, Tyler, last word.
As always, thanks for the show. Merry Christmas to everyone. Definitely look forward to the predictions next week. And Marmite's all right.
Barb, last word.
Okay. Well, besides the fact that the cat just left, I want to thank you, Rocco, and everybody else. This is always fun. And Merry Christmas, Happy Solstice. Today is the winter solstice, and any other winter holiday at this time of year you celebrate. Anybody celebrates. It covers them all.
Chicken.
Sorry, I blanked. I'm smart, I swear.
That's what they all say.
I've been thinking of a catchphrase actually. High computing standards never settle for less. That's why you should use Elementary OS.
Oh my
gosh.
You should send
Dave.
out everybody some e-cards with that on them.
Dave, save us from that, will you?
Thank you, Rocco. Thank you, EB, for saying what so many of us think so often. And thank you all for making this a home where I am comfortable. Happy holidays to all, however you celebrate. And remember those who are away from home or don't have anything to celebrate.
Vince, last word.
Yeah, I just want to send a shout out to Brian from Endeavour OS. Earlier in the week, I was reading a post that he made on the Big Daddy Linux discourse. And if you haven't read it, go and read it, everyone, because it really speaks to the power of this community and how great you guys are. I love spending my Sunday mornings with you guys. Thank you so very much, Team Rocco and Rocco yourself. This is awesome. See you next week. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Dan, last word.
And thanks as always, Rocco. And yeah, I agree with Vince. That was a great article, and it's helped. I think many distributions, with positive feedback to improve. So that was really good. Many thanks to the Ubuntu Studio folks for delivering a great distribution, and happy holidays to everybody.
Nate, last word.
Hey, thanks for having me. Sorry I was late. I look forward to trying Peppermint OS because I haven't tried it in a while, and I think with between Zeb and EB talking it up, cackling like little ladies about their knitwear, I got to try it again. So, Merry Christmas to everybody, and look forward to seeing my nerd friends again next week.
Peter, last word.
Chicken has inspired me. Use Solus because it's the bestest.
I love
it. So Merry Christmas, ho ho ho. Have a great holiday.
Derek, last word.
Well, thank you again for having me. It's good that we have this community to be able to come together each week and be able to enjoy talking about the things that we love. Merry Christmas to all and Happy New Year.
All right, EB, last word.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a massive shout out to Zeb, who's not only doing the charity live stream, but tirelessly does this show and Destination Linux and a whole raft of the top stuff. So well done, Zeb. I hope you have a fabulous year, my friend, and a great Christmas. Thanks to Rocco. Thanks to everybody who turns up here week in, week out and gives us all in the community a great show. Last but not least, I'm off to DDoS the Google servers now until they agree that you can't do a thumbs down without posting a comment.
The number of thumbs down is now down to 4.
Forget the thumbs down. Who cares?
Exactly.
All right. I would like to thank Eric and his whole team, Len Ovens, Brian Heckinger, Thomas Ward, Ross Gammon, and whoever else is involved with Ubuntu Studio. I appreciate the hard work, and it's definitely something that if you haven't checked out, you should check out. So much appreciated. This week on Linux Spotlight was Chris Fisher from Jupiter Broadcasting, and that was a fantastic conversation. He is an amazing guy who's put in countless hours. Talk about countless hours of content. He has over the years done so much, and it was great to get to finally talk to him. So if you haven't seen that, you should go watch that. And I will say, I'm going to plug the video portion of this because Linux Spotlight is available as an RSS feed. And there's a lot of people that consume it that way, and that's fine. But there is a part of that you miss if you're not watching the video, and that is connecting with that person in particular. And, there are times when we will make references to things that we're looking at, and I don't always remember to do that for audio. So, yeah, there you go. But anyway, next week, Christmas Day, still going to have a Linux Spotlight. That is a conversation I sat down with Emma Marshall from System 76.
Wow.
And
Brilliant.
that was another great conversation, so you shouldn't miss that either. And then we'll continue on because in the new year, there are already so many awesome people lined up to get to talk to. It's pretty awesome.
And just before you finish, for those people who are saying, where's the Linux Spotlight on Rocco? It will happen.
Someday.
I promise you that.
We're all going to team up on him.
Absolutely.
Someday.
It will happen. He's got too many brilliant guests that he wants to get through first. But trust me, it will happen.
All right. And lastly, I'd just like to thank you all for being here and just say Merry Christmas, and we will see you next week. Until then, long live Linux.
Bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Hey,
Auf
I
Wiedersehen.
forgot. We're closed for business.